Welcome back, everybody, to We Know Texas Vino, the podcast where we explore the people, the places, and the passion behind Texas wines. I'm your host, Will, and today we're heading deep into the heart of Texas wine country to visit a place where the land, the vine, and the craft all come together at Creeks Vineyards. Nestled among rolling Texas landscapes and shaped in the natural flow of the creeks that give its name, the Creeks Vineyard, is a true reflection of terroir, hard work, and Texas grit. From vineyard practices to wines in your glass, this winery tells a story, one sip at a time. So pour yourself a glass, settle in, get ready to learn, laugh, and discover what makes Texas wine so special. Because here at We Know Texas Vino, we don't just drink wine, we live it. Cheers. So, what's kind of funny is as I'm sitting here thinking about this,
yeah,
I got your name in Briggs.
Yeah, Briggs, yeah.
I'm just a rando that set up.
Into the soup.
It's my wife, Carol.
Yeah. Okay.
Last name Horne. Yeah. Sorry.
Thank you for having me on the show today. I'm glad you were able to make time for us today. I know it's a crazy weekend for y'all because y'all just had a chili cook-off yesterday, and then today y'all
You ran out at the very end. It was a great time here. So,
okay, but we got to make an important question right now: beans or no beans?
Oh,
there was only.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say there was only one yesterday that had bean, but that a person actually won the year before.
Yeah.
So I don't know. My personal opinion, I like beans, but and I'm from Texas, so I know that you're not supposed to say that. But I like beans. Yeah. So it's a good thickener.
I got into a deep argument years ago with a Canadian, and he said, chili without beans is just spaghetti sauce. And I'm sitting there a lot.
Yeah.
Wow, it really is.
Yeah. I know it's not doing wine, but it's okay. We are in chili.
Yeah.
I like chili, and I like the bean. Pinto beans. It'll be into this red
kidney beans.
Not
He's the same way. He's not like kidney beans.
but then I'll take it and mix it with my chili. I do not want it cooked with my chili.
Okay.
I want it separate.
Okay.
That way I can have my chili or I can have beans.
Yeah.
Have both.
There you go.
And the best thing about chili is same as about wine. There's a type of chili and type of wine for everybody.
Everyone's palate is different. So chili that I loved, he may, not necessarily have loved it as much. So, and there was a little bit of everything, lots of diversity. Yesterday we had a great green chili, pork chili that was so delicious. We had
What wine did you serve with that?
Well, we were offering complimentary glasses to all of our paying customers. I was, the one I was promoting and we were pouring a ton of is our Red Tyrant. It's a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon Merlot and Petit Verdot, and it's fruit forward, but it's nice and dry and heavier on the palate. It was and everyone came back and said it paired very, very well with all the chill. So.
Oh man. Well, let's dig into this. I love talking about chili. I could sit and talk about chili. It's sad. Food, period. Food and wine, we would talk all day long. So where did y'all come from? How did you get into this? Because the reason why I do this show is because y'all just still wake up one day and said, you know what? I want to be a winemaker. I want to open a tasting room. Where'd y'all come from?
So I'll go ahead and
Go for it. I'm good.
She's in charge.
You're good. They're awesome.
So Briggs and I basically grew up in Austin. We both moved to Austin after we graduated college, met at Dell, which is where he still works. I fortunately was able to retire several years ago and kind of focus on this full time. His dad and stepmom are both very entrepreneurial. They always had their hand in a small business. His dad used to build multi-million-dollar homes in Austin, had his own construction business. Janice, our stepmom, has owned multiple businesses focused on a lot of wellness stuff like Pilates classes and, stuff like that. And so their retirement dream was, and by virtue of us all being wine lovers, we started going on wine trips together out to California. And then we really started focusing on doing wine trips and out to Fredericksburg and, anywhere the road kind of took us, basically. And sorry, I got distracted. But anyway, so we started getting very, very just really ingrained in the wine industry or just the wineries, getting to know the owners and, stuff like that, falling in love with Texas wine, realizing there was were so many beautiful things being done with Texas fruit. So they decided, I think we want to, we're retired. I think, what we want to do is just put in our own little vineyard and become farmers and just have a little tasting room and kind of live there. And, our living room is going to be our tasting room. And, it's just going to be a small little quaint place. And so
Famous last words.
yeah. And the more Bricks and I, talked about it, we decided, we want to be a part of it. We want it to become a family thing. So we all decided we're all going to invest and make it a family thing. And so that's what it became. We started out with how many vines?
We first planted 3,500, and then every year we did about 1,500 to 3,000 more. And we have like 12,000 now, which is not like, in terms of like the high plains, and obviously like California, that's small. But as far as Texas Hill Country, it's pretty sizable.
Yeah.
That's what.
What were your first Bravo?
Well, we had 4 out of the 5 that we currently plant, and they were all red. So there's a grape called Suzhou, and my Texas accent's going to totally like.
Sal.
Yeah, exactly. I had a Portuguese person here they're from Brazil and they speak Portuguese there. And one day I did a tasting for him, and he corrected me on my pronunciation, and I was like, "I'm Texan, I'm sorry." But anyways, yeah. So we grow Suzhou, and then we also grow Alicante Boucher. We grow Tannat and Mourvèdre, and those were the 4. And I have a French person that works in my tasting room, so it's interesting to see how people pronounce even. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But even him, he's from a different area of France, and so they pronounce it slightly different. And you're like, I give up. And then the one white grape we grow is Vermentino, but we didn't plant that until the year before. So the first year were those 4 red grapes, and we did them primarily because A, we loved them, but 2, what we were trying to find, and we're a little lucky. We got started 2018 is when we planted the first 3,500 vines. And when we got started, obviously there's a lot of pioneers in the Texas wine industry that have paved the way. And so we didn't want to do something like Tempranillo because it's so plentiful in the rest of Texas. We didn't want to do cab because not that you can't get a good cab in Texas, but it's just for the whole state as a whole, it's a hard grape to grow. And so we wanted to focus, especially because we're growing in the hill country and it's hot both day and night. We wanted to focus on wines that could hold color well, that could hold tannin well, and that could hold just flavor. And that all comes from the skins. But because those grapes are, I think, in my experience, plentiful in all of them, it makes up for some of the shortcomings that we have here in the hill country growing because of the heat, because everything ripens so super fast that it's hard to get the same development in a grape that you get out in the high plains. Right. Or even get into California and obviously in France and Italy and all that, Spain, etc. So that's why we did what we did. And we did those, and it was probably a little too soon. My dad got a little overzealous, and but
how many acres that turned into? So 1,300 your first time. 1,350 is what?
It was 3,500.
3,500.
So it was probably like 3 or 4 acres, something like that, maybe 5.
And it was only the 4 of y'all working on those.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we've had some help along the way. Like we've had several, versions of high school kids come out. 2 brothers. The older brother worked for us for several years, and he and his friend, basically were like cellar rats, and just definitely did a lot of work out in the vineyard and helped out a ton. And then one of their younger brothers worked for us for a couple years, and now he's about to go off to college. So we've always had that additional help. Right now, the kid that works for us is really interested in, he's a culinary superstar, but very interested in learning more about winemaking and just farming in general, because a lot of people don't realize that farming is first and foremost the most important part of wine, Texas wine, or wine in general, but, winemaking and,
So that's good to hear that we have young people, high schoolers, that are interested in pursuing or possibly pursuing it as a career. That is very exciting.
Absolutely.
And enjoyable that we know that Texas wine is going to continue to grow.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, yeah, even if you aren't going to do it for your career, I'd say at least start with it because it's an amazing icebreaker from a career perspective when you're doing interviewing or if you're just doing day-to-day business. And so, matter of fact, one of the young men, he's about to graduate OU, and he's worked with us for years, even when he lived here. And he basically was like, I had an interview, and I was like, hey, I'm at a winery right now. And he's like, what? And he's like, yeah, no, I work here. I'm helping him during the breaks. I used to work here all the time. And he's been helping us rough print and stuff like that. And he's 6'5", so he's amazing at that job. But he was like, I think I did really well in this interview because I'm like, yes, because it's a great icebreaker. You should stay on longer. But yeah.
You know, and I work for my day job. I work for Cook Stewart Hospital.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm an engineer for them.
Perfect.
IT engineer at that. We'll talk later. Since you work, we'll talk later after that. I get to talking to the people stuff, and sometimes you got that quiet meeting moment in the meetings and stuff. So if it's just you and another person, they're like, well, what do you do in your spare time? And I'm like, oh, I run a Texas wine podcast. I'm a winemaker and blah, blah, that. And they're like, oh, really now? And then we start talking about wine. And the next thing you know, we're coming to find out they have somebody that I know somebody they know. And it just becomes a conglomerate. Yeah. Like, actually, a prime example of this is, what was it? Parasos. The winemaker Newt over there grew up in Albany. Me and her grew up in Breckenridge, Texas. Uh-huh. We're neighbors.
It's a small world.
Yeah. He was born in Albany. We lived in Breckenridge. He was born in Albany.
You know, that's so funny.
It's funny how the small world works when he starts talking about wine. And it's just, you know, I've got a label that I'm doing for myself. And one of the things, it's called El Vino en Vivo. The wine is alive. Okay. And it's because through wine, you meet people.
Absolutely.
Because you don't meet people through drinking alcohol and like beers and spirits and stuff. You know, you have more fights. But with wine, you have a get together, you have a come together, and you actually get to sit and talk. Because you're not downing drinks left and right. You're sipping it, you're enjoying it. You're talking about, what did you have? What did you drink? How do you feel about this? You have that conversation. So,
well, and you can represent that one young lady was on just being a culinary thing. You enjoy it all the food. You enjoy that. It's not, oh, it's hurt and get do this done and get out here and make, serve dancing. You could have dancing. I'm not saying they have for bars and stuff, but wine is not, it's more visiting, getting to know each other.
That's our philosophy as well at Zach. We just rebranded our wine club brochures, but they used to be like this trifold, like, book kind of thing. So we kind of condensed it. And one thing, we talked about was how, as a family, wine would always bring us together. Like, our best memories were shared over an amazing bottle of wine and a great meal, and singing with friends. That's just, it's a part of life for us. And we want to, we want our customers enjoying our wine to have that same experience.
Well, so just what people coming into your winery and your tasting room, but it's everywhere. Mm-hmm. We have not visited any winery that we did not feel a part of the family. Yeah. I mean, we may come in strangers, but by the time we leave out of here, we feel a part of the family. Yeah. And that is something amazing. Yeah. And that our society has lost because you don't know your neighbors. Yeah. You come to a winery, you may not meet your neighbor, but you meet someone that you connect with. Yeah. And that is the awesome part of wine.
And that's what we struggle with, is like, because as you grow, you can easily lose touch of that, I think, especially as you get bigger and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, our goal is to grow, but not to grow beyond that philosophy, because that's
what you get that part. It starts becoming a number at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
And unfortunately, there have been a couple of wineries in here in Texas that we do have that experience. Like, you don't feel like, and it feels very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, hysteria. Yeah, that's a great word. And, but for the most part, don't look at the audience. Yeah. For the most part, we love being a part of this industry in Texas, because so many wineries, just like you said, treat you like family. And, just being in this industry, we've gotten to know several winemakers and winery owners, rather well. And it's kind of like one big family. And, everyone's like so supportive of each other. And,
Well, let's reel this back, Oliver, because I enjoy this. I still want to know more about y'all. Yeah. So, all right. So you decided to plant 3,500 vines, and then you planted more the next year. Yeah. So now you're overwhelmed. You're like, holy crap, what do we just do here? because, everybody that I've talked to always did, maybe a half acre. Y'all just said, let's just do this and go full tilt.
Well, and I hadn't started, it was, my dad really wanted, I think part of it is you don't know until you do it. Mm-hmm. And knowing obviously what we know now, I absolutely, go. Knowing what I know now, here, hold on quick. Carol, can you bring in the other wines though, like Vermentino, Little Wing, and Red Tyrant and Suchau? Thanks.
I will be right.
We can read, I guess, a bit of this.
This is all we edited. I cut all this out.
Yeah,
somebody do.
Figures us. But yeah, so what was I saying? So when we started and we did it, it was definitely probably too much. We had no idea what you were doing. And what's funny,
That's a theme through all of them.
in the very first day we planted, we were like, we had our wines on because we were going to open the next year. So we obviously had wines that were obviously made and ready to sell. It wasn't our state fruit, but it was just ready to go. And so we were like, well, let's have a planting party because we figured this is going to be a lot. 3,500 vines is a lot. And we hadn't even planted one yet. We had all the plants ready. We even dug the holes, but we were just like, what do you do? And so, so we had a bunch of friends and family come, and we had friends that just cook amazing barbecue. They barbecue for us. We brought out our wines that were still probably, I don't know, like a full year from being even released because we weren't going to open until like the summer of 19.
Wow. Okay.
And so they helped us plant, and after about 3 hours, we planted 500 of our 3,500 bodies. Yeah. And we were like, and then of course lunch happened. And then once lunch happened, the wine opened, the food, it was over.
It's done. Yep.
And so the next day we got here and it was actually a tornado warning. And wow. And I was like, so we couldn't plant there. And after that, I was like, oh my gosh. So we really hustled. We had a lot of other friends that came and helped us. But that was kind of the first time we were like, I think we bit off a little more than we can chew. In the long term, I'm so happy we did it because it paid off. But yeah, it's probably smart to do it a little more reserved. Yes. But
the first varietals that you did plant.
Yeah, so it was Suchau, Tannat, Morved, and Alicante Bichet. Those were the first four. And it was weird. 2018 was when we planted the first planted those vines. And it was a weird year because we had one of those like 100-year rains, kind of like we had this like past year. And everything was just so crazy vigorous. And so we thought we had this oasis. We're like, everything's amazing. And then the next week we were like, no, we're not.
Victory has over.
Yeah, exactly. So it was not an oasis, but I'm glad we planted them. But it's funny, we opened up 2019 in summer, and that was 6 months after a federal government shutdown, which delayed us because we were actually going to open up like in the spring of 2019. But because when the government shuts down, you can't get your labels approved and all that kind of stuff. Like it's a cascading event of other things that follow. And so we opened up like probably August of 2019. And then of course, COVID happened 6 months later. And that was rough, especially the first 2 months was really, really rough. But then, after the shock and all of COVID happened, obviously people were just like, we're awesome because we have this really amazing property. We have a massive oak grove that's surrounded by the vineyard, tasting room on the other side with our production building. And so it was a great time for people to come out during COVID because they were like, I could be outside, I can be open. It's like, it was, a safe environment. And we did really, really well. But yeah, the first 2 months of COVID were everybody was just in shock. Yeah.
Everybody.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, all right. So you get your vines planted. Who in this relationship is actually the physical winemaker?
Yeah, so it's me. So so my dad is the vineyard manager.
Okay.
I'm the winemaker. Carol is our tasting room manager, does our wine club, everything else. And my stepmother just keeps us all safe because we all want to spend money. And so we all want to spend a lot of money, and she wrangles us in, and she manages our business to make sure that, we don't go crazy and sink the ship, I guess.
When you said manages everything, I thought you was going to say manage y'all's insanity because you're going to eat yours.
That's it. No, and that is, it's a family business. And so like my dad, when we first started, the attractiveness that he had is he wanted to have a family business. Carol was kind of talking about it. And I think I broke his heart because, I graduated Baylor University in 1999. And so I switched majors through Baylor. I was going to be an accounting major because of all the hats they wore, he was also a CPA.
Okay.
And he had a practice in the town he was in. And he wanted me to come after school and move in and work with them, be a partnership kind of thing. And halfway through Baylor, I was like, I hate this. I can't do this. And switched majors. And I think it broke his heart in a little bit. And so when this all happened, it was like everything kind of came full circle.
Yeah.
But I will say we're all very, very stubborn. And so it's hard managing four egos. Even though they're family. And so you do that. If you are going to start a family business, I would say try to learn a lesson of checking your ego at the door. You're always, especially if you're very strong-willed, and we all have strong personalities, and it's just like, check your ego at the door. Always remember like what the most important thing is. So really? What? Yeah.
Mom, I'll keep my mouth.
Oh man. Yeah. It's all good though. I mean,
having a family business, because a lot of the wineries here, that is what they do as a family. They all work together as a family. They eat, sleep, and drink their per se wine.
Yeah.
And they want to keep everybody happy as much as possible.
Yeah. I was going to pour another one, but yeah.
Oh, right.
You know what? Don't rush. We got time.
They bad luck.
Yeah. This is our estate Vermentino. So it's nice. And it's a little bit different of a Vermentino because most Vermentinos, this is the third vintage we've done of it.
Okay.
It's a very obviously dry, crisp. It's like Pinot Grigio on steroids, so it's got like a lot of green apple, citrus, like really yummy elements. And this does too, but this is a more medium-bodied, smoother. It's kind of like a Chardonnay meets a Sauvignon Blanc. So I don't know. I've been really fun with it. The more it's aged, it's gotten better. Happy with it.
This Vermentino is drinking very, very good right now.
It just might shock some people just because it's, again, like I said, it's smoother than like the typical.
Well, it's kind of like Roussan. People, when they drink a Roussan, they're like,
yeah.
Is this a Roussan or a Chardonnay?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think a Roussan is a Chardonnay.
Yep.
Oh, man.
In fact, it's funny. So, we get a lot of people who come in and want sweet wine. Where I'm like, yeah, we don't focus, our family, we focus on dry style wines. That's what we like ourselves and, kind of what we're growing. And we had a Roussan Marsanne blend that was very divisive, but the sweet wine drinkers tended to love it, because it did have that sort of, like that kind of
very fruit forward.
Yeah, but also that kind of butter bomb, mouthfeel, but it also had like the honey and the pear, and they loved that. So
yeah.
Yes, one of the things I love doing in a taster is you got a wine. Landon has a rosé cab, and it's very fruit forward, but it's a dry wine. There's no sugar in it whatsoever. And so somebody will come in and say, I want a sweet wine. And I was like, are you sure? And they said, yes. I'm like, okay. So I'll walk over and I'll grab that rosé cab. Yeah. And then I'll educate them real quick. I said, the word dry in wine means less than 1% residual sugar in it. And they're like, okay. And they said, why are you telling me this? I said, I want you to try this. And I'll pour it for them. They're like, oh, this is sweet. I said, nope, it's not sweet. And they said, what do you mean? And I show them the bottle and it says dry on it. And they said, oh, so there's no sugar in this. I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
Oh, I like this. And guess what? I just opened the door for them to drink something else.
Absolutely.
And you have to lead them a little bit. Sometimes you got to take them, you got to take the horse to the water. And if the horse may be stubborn to drink the water, you got to shove them.
Yeah. Well, you'll have some people coming going, nope, this is all I like, all I want. And you're like, okay, well, let me just have you have a taste of this and explain, what they're drinking. And they end up, they're like, I really like this. I didn't know I liked a dry red or
When we started this, I was
very stubborn. I mean, do I say that out loud?
He's so Richie. And as my palate has recalibrated, has retrained, I enjoy the dry now. And I'm able to, I work with a bunch of young ladies, and they are just like everybody else, sweet, drink it. And they said, no, go ahead and try the dry. Find you one that's your bite, that it's your count. Use that as your gauge to go to different others.
Yeah.
And so it has been an adventure. And that's why I say wine is an adventure.
So
Because you go, I mean, we was at one winery and we went to another one that was 5 miles away. Same varietal. And holy, I mean, it still had the same basic characteristics, but still the maker and the grandma was different. In 5 miles, it just fascinated about Texas.
We've got what is it? Is it the Ellicott growing in 2 different parts of the? They taste totally different. I mean, they taste very different.
Is it not amazing?
Same piece of land, just different parts of our property.
Different elevation, different soil.
Cool.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what kind of soil do y'all have out here?
It's a mixture. So we have 15 acres total. About 12 of them have vines planted on. On the top end of the property, it's a little more your typical like limestone, caliche kind of soil. Okay. When you start getting on the slope, it's a lot more limestone. You'll start getting some sandy loam.
Okay.
I don't know. Like I was talking about this someone the other day. I don't know how much like that necessarily. I mean, it's nice and romantic to say that totally influences the taste of the wine. I mean, there's so much to winemaking that can change things. And I mean, beyond winemaking, like the climate that year, I think makes probably the biggest difference. And then the next piece is going to be how you maintain that vineyard. So how do you prune, but more importantly, like how do you manage a canopy of grapevines? Because that allows more sunlight in, more wind, and it also manages how much fruit you have on. And we always kind of like vines are weeds in a way. They grow like weeds for sure. Yeah. But that can get away from you and it can affect the flavor and the quality of the ripening. And so I think that's one thing we're getting better at in the state is understanding how to properly make wine. Because we haven't, for most of us, especially me, I haven't had decades, let alone centuries, obviously to learn. And so we're getting better at it. And I think I think all those things kind of influence the taste of the wine more than, this is just personally speaking, more than the soil.
Right.
But we haven't technically fully released a wine that was like over a long period of time that is a lower block in the vineyard to an upper block. I want to do it. I love to see how it's changed. But we have a neighbor just 5 miles down the road. They have a small like 1 acre block and they grow Tannat as well. And so this year we made their Tannat for them. And so we have their Tannat and we have ours that we harvested like a week apart.
Oh, wow.
And that was the thing too. A week and a half apart actually was when theirs ripened versus ours. And just like 1 month in after fermentation, once we put it in barrel, you taste it and you're just like, wow, like that was grape growing. That's not winemaking yet.
Yeah.
And
I haven't done anything.
I used the same yeast. Everything's equal except for who managed that vineyard. Right. And I'm not saying one was, I mean, of course ours is better, but like, I'm sorry. But no, I'm sorry. Theirs is very good, but it's early and it's Tannat and it's extremely early. But it's really good.
Surprised with how
really
delicious her wine is. Kudos to whoever you're, maintaining your vineyard. Like you've done a very good job. So,
well, I'm sitting here looking at your little diagram here. I'm actually interested at your map here. So, which way is north?
So north is here. Okay. You're in here, right here, and then you drove in through this section. We always wanted a vineyard that you could drive through,
right?
Which has its pluses and minuses, because the minus is like vineyards aren't always pretty.
Right.
And when you have a lot of plants.
Especially when you have somebody that's been sitting out there all day and who's art.
Well, and one thing we learned early on, this is what I was saying, like we bit off a little more we can shoot early on when we planted, was like the hill country, and especially as you get closer to the Gulf, there's a lot more disease pressure. And so it took us about 2 or 3 years to really fully comprehend that. And the first like year 2, year 3, we had to replant a bunch of plants. Of course, we also had Snowmageddon. That was another fun thing. But we had to replant a lot of plants, and now we're better at it, of course. But like it took a while. And so, but that was a problem, because when you're driving through the vineyard as a customer, like you might see 5 plants, or not 5 plants, but like 5% of the vines that look terrible. Wow. And it's just like, I know. And so now it's getting better, but it's, point of the matter is like, there's a plus and a minus to having it, but we always wanted a vineyard that you could drive through. And then that's the big oak grove that we, do a lot of tastings outside, parking lot. And so this is the newer section. So originally it was just 10 acres.
Literally fixing to point that out.
Yeah.
The reason I'm always going to point that out is because your rows here are different than the rows over here. And I was going to say, this is just first plantings right here.
It was, but it was also, okay, so ideally the way the wind's flowing, we should probably be going this way.
Yeah.
And that's why these are all pointing that way. The reason why these are planted more like southwest, northeast or ish or whatever, which is not good for this area because the way the wind blows, everything kind of just does a comb over. They call it a taco. Everything just kind of like folds over. It was more to let everything look pretty as you were driving in. So it wasn't really, it was against the grain of what you should do. I don't necessarily hate that we did it that way. There's definitely days I wish we every year we replaced posts on probably 3 or 4 rows of vines because they got blown over by a big wind.
Crazy windy out here. Yesterday was insane. We probably had like 30-mile per hour.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But when we get those like springtime and like, early winter storms, we've had parts, the very low end of our vineyard, we've had it happen twice, I think, where the last 2 rows of Tanat were just like this. All the vines are just like,
Oh, wow.
so they have to go out and, fix all the posts, the live posts and resituate everything. But
Sometimes the worst part is having to make that tough decision to pull them up and redo everything.
Yeah.
But, I know I hear a lot of people plant their vineyards in different ways. I thought, and this is my speculation, that y'all did this because you're allowing them to get more sun this way. But when you said the wind, that made more sense why you do it this other way. Go like this versus this.
Yeah. It was to make it look pretty first and foremost. But
I would say most people that are avid wine drinkers, here's what I'm looking for. When they drive through a vineyard, they're going to know that some vines, for whatever reason, are not going to thrive.
sure.
I mean, even in a row, you may have, like you said, 4 or 5 that's not thriving. And then the other 10 is just going to read.
Yeah.
And so I think, and to me, that is showing the true nature of a bee.
it is. I mean,
That's because it's not going to be all beautiful greenery. There's going to be some wiki, not producing as well. And those, like you said, are the ones, do I need to pull these and replant them?
Yep.
Or can get no years of seeds they straighten up and start producing?
Well, and there's the other question of whether it's the right place to grow certain things. And so like this, I always joke, this is like the Wild West of Texas is that Wild West of winemaking and grape growing and finding out what grows well, how to make wine well. And like California did that like probably 40, 50, 60 years ago. And then obviously the old world has done it for centuries, but like, yeah, it's painful to do some of that. And also like, stress is okay. Like, I don't mind like it when it's August and people say like, oh, everything was kind of toasty out here. And I'm like, oh yeah, these vines have been hanging on to fruit for like 3 months. Like they're done. They want to give up. They want those babies off them ASAP. And so, and you want them to be stressed a little bit because you want some stress in the fruit though. It needs to really, you want that vine to not just be vigorous and grow. Because like I said, it's a weed.
Yeah.
It wants to grow. And so you want that vigor checked. And one thing we do have that's nice in this area is there's so much stress from the heat that it does make the plants go in survival mode and focus on the fruit.
Yeah.
And so like at least for the fruit that we grow, from personally speaking, it's done as well.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, back to your point though, like, people who kind of know about vineyards and stuff when they are driving through, they're like, oh, your vines are, whatever.
By the way, most of our grapevines are good. I'm not sure we're not good. Okay.
You're like, you're going to see weaker than you are in farmer vine.
If people really don't know anything about farming or winemaking, it opens up to like having really cool conversations with customers and explaining to them why the leaves a little toasty in August, why we've got bird nets on 24/7. Like that's a weekly question that we get pretty much from customers in the taste.
So my question on this one is, we were talking about the weather and stuff. 2025 was a very weird weather-wise.
Yeah.
And I'm actually excited to see from different vineyards, from the high plains to the hill country to East Texas, everywhere, to see how the wine that's going to change. Because it was so for your vineyards, how did the weather?
It was a terrible year for us. I don't. The High Plains is different, but like for us, that we had that 100-year rain, but like 2018 was big, but this was different.
This was a lot of rain.
We had a lot. We had just like 15 minutes away. There was a small town that has this 100-year-old bridge that got washed away.
Oh, wow.
It's a wooden bridge. It's so sad. And so like, thankfully we didn't have like massive flooding here, but there's so much rain, and that was right. Like, again, this is the hill country. So in that time frame, early July, things are starting to ripen, and they're quite into veraison. And we had our a la Compiche actually prematurely raising off. I had to basically drop so much fruit. It was sad. It was gonna be our first vintage too, and I was like, and it just, I didn't handle it well. Everything else, the other issue we had it wasn't rain, but rain was the catalyst of what happened next, which is we started getting these moths that came into the vineyard that we have never had before. And these moths lay eggs, and those caterpillars, they're called leaf rollers, and they get in a leaf, and the leaves kind of roll, but it houses all these caterpillars. And so what's happening is they're deforesting your grapevines, and it happens like that. And it was like dominoes. And before we could really fully react, we were like, oh my God. And so if you don't have leaves on a vine, it struggles to ripen the fruit.
Yep.
And so this year was lighter for us in alcohol because the sugar didn't accumulate right. I mean, it wasn't terrible. It was just maybe a couple % less in sugar than I would prefer for like reds, especially. The white Vermentino was fine. It was more on the red side.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's going to be a little bit different, but maybe that's okay. We'll see.
Well, explain to the people, some people don't realize, I mean, like when I first got into it, I was like, the grapes need water. Mm-hmm. So when I found out that the High Plains was a major, what, it's so dry there. So if you would explain to them what the excess rain did to the flavor of
I won't know. I can't tell you on flavor yet because we're still so new. I can tell you that a la Compiche, for example, so grapevines have a certain, especially once they've developed a certain point, they only have a certain capacity for expansion. And so what happens is when it rains a lot and that grape is already like ripening, if it fills up too much with water, they burst. And so that and raising is basically kind of what we had. And so, yeah, it devastated. I lost the whole entire crop of at least one variety. And it's a variety I'm very excited to do something with here that I still have yet to. I mean, we still harvest this and it's fun. It's like topping wine or that, but it's not something we blended with it a little bit, but nothing that has been shown for its expression. So outside of that, it's still early to tell right now. Like the Tannat, it might be good for us because like the Tannat, the Seychelles, these are bolder reds, and it so far seems a little lighter, and the tannins are a little softer. So I was like, you know what, maybe this is gonna be. Not that I want it every year like this, of course, but like I was like, maybe this will be maybe there's a silver lining here that we can talk about.
Well, one thing I'm kind of curious about, how did you find this place? I mean, you just
So we looked at several different properties. We were working with a great real estate agent at the time who showed commercial property sites, and Fredericksburg was way out of our budget. Like we're not multimillionaires, but he was like, hey guys, just trust me on this. There's this ranch development out in Central Texas. We were all in Austin at the time, so we were not familiar with this area at all. Like I barely even knew where Marble Falls was at the time. And so he's like, it's in this little town and in between Burnett and Bertrand and just kind of out of the way, but I think you're really going to like this property. So he brought us out here, summertime. We're all in flip-flops and whatever. The first thing we see when we turn the corner and turn onto 200A is a big rattlesnake, just like hurled right in front of our property. And I'm like, oh my, this is really the country. And we're talking, the grass was like knee high. Our beautiful oak grove was just overgrown with wild vine, just anything imaginable. And so we came out and I'm like, I am not getting out of this truck, but y'all go up around. And so we just stood behind that tree and we were just like, okay, we can envision just the vines and, standing in your tasting room, looking out the window and just seeing that beautiful oak grove and the vines behind it. And so that vision became a reality. And so that, I mean, being out here in the country, kind of off the beaten path, we were like, you know what, that's going to make us stand out a little bit. And that oak grove is definitely one of the things that sold us on it.
I would say too, like this is the one thing we were happy about too, is we knew this was a small, like burgeoning, like wine area. Like it's not Fredericksburg, it's not Dripping Springs as far as the Hill Country is concerned. I was like, but Austin is exploding northwesterly, and especially now, but like even then it was. And so there were several wineries that you were at before, but like there's several wineries that have like helped pave the way in this area and have grown and been very successful. And like, I think we can, like that's the best thing I love about this industry. It's different than the typical day job. Is in the high day job, like your competitors everything's cutthroat. Like they'll stomp on you and kill you. In this industry, it's co-opetition. Everything's very friendly and nice.
So
Competition.
Yeah.
competition.
Not competition.
Yeah.
So that phrase was actually coined about 3 years ago from Rusty at Breaking Bud Vineyards in North Texas.
Awesome.
And we got sitting there, we was talking about it. And he goes, Texas wine is a co-opetition because you co-op with each other.
Yep.
You cooperate with each other. You help when somebody needs something, you let borrow a tractor or something like that.
Absolutely.
But you're also in competition.
Yeah.
And you're the second person. I've actually heard that word that didn't come from me.
Funny. Yeah. I think it's a farming thing, like, right. And when you're a farmer, farmers help each other because it's such a brutal business. Like when that all the company shade just like ruptured and raisined off, you're like, that was a whole entire year's work. I can't tell you, like there's not a whole lot of mechanization. There is mechanization, but there's a lot. You have to do a lot by hand and have that just wiped out in a year. And not only that, you then have to keep working the rest of the year to maintain. You're just like, it's not all for nothing, but you're just like, what am I doing here? And there's another winery or vineyard in the area that got hit by hail this year, and it's the same thing. And you're like, what am I going to do? And it's like, so everyone has that same, experience. And so everyone's just so friendly. Yeah.
So bringing us back to all of the different elements throughout the year, you had mentioned earlier the bird nest. So for listeners who don't know what those are, A, can you explain that? I had a 3-part question now. B, what other critters do you have to combat? And then C, do you still see a lot of rattlesnakes? Well, so on that.
Yeah. Oh, if there are rattlesnakes, and I'm sure there are, because on our neighborhood chat, people like neighbors that we live up the road now in the ranch development, and we built a house and moved in about 8 months ago, but someone's always finding a rattlesnake in their like hay stack or whatever in their barn or something. I was like, oh, but no, I haven't seen.
We've been good here.
Yeah, you've been good.
If you keep your rodent population under control, you don't get sticks. So
yeah. But critters that we've definitely dealt with in the past, loads of bunny rabbits, raccoons, possums. They love to come in, obviously eat the low hanging fruit, bite into our irrigation drits to get some water. Rabbits, especially, the bird nets. I mean, that's more of a Briggs question.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you what. No, they're hail nets primarily.
Yeah.
So the reason why we have them all the time is for hail. Not like right now it doesn't matter. But like when bud break happens, which for us is going to be like early March to like mid-April, depending on the variety that we grow. But it's in that time range. When that happens, those grapes or grapevines are the green tissue is very tender, easily broken off. And then of course, at that point, you're starting to get flower clusters and potentially even fruit set. So from like March until like May, which is our, you guys, we're all in Texas, right? That's then storm time. And it's like, hail is very prone. And the very first year it was 2022, we were going to have our first harvest, and we ended up having a harvest, but we didn't have those nets yet. We're going to do the old school nets where you only put them on like as they're ripening to keep critters out. We got hit with hail, and it wasn't even big hail. It was like, pea size, but it came with such ferocity that it just gave everything a haircut. Like everything that was like more than like 5 inches got whacked off. And then on top of that, like fruit clusters, they were flowering. They didn't fruit set yet. All the not all of them, but a lot of them just got damaged and knocked off. And so we were like, this is our first one. We're like, never again. Yep. So we did. And it's very popular now on the high plains. They have a worse problem with hail than we do, but like so we do hail netting. So first and foremost, it's on there for that stage. So when we prune, we drop the nets immediately as we're pruning, and then now if a hailstorm comes, which we've had several since, like nothing's damaged, generally speaking. And then over time, once the grapes start ripening, we cinch the tops and the bottoms, and that keeps the critters out. So the birds, so it's really just birds and it's raccoons.
The birds, yeah.
And it's really raccoons. Yeah. Birds are bad, but they, like when they're cinched up, they're fine. It keeps most of them out. Raccoons are extremely intelligent. And so,
about raccoons.
Well, they would actually literally untie.
Yeah, they're smart. They're crazy smart.
They've got those little fingers.
I'm just going to say, I got 4 words. Horse, fence, charter. 3 words. Put the lower shelf down there where they untie it. Have it charged at night. So when they go and touch it, they'll shock the crap out of it.
Yeah. Well, my dad, we have a vineyard dog, Blondie, and he doesn't do anything. I think he's in cahoots with them.
Become a family dog. Yeah.
Yeah. He wants them to knock fruit on the ground so you can eat it. But
area set aside that you don't discourage them from coming. Maybe that people from coming to the ones that I mean,
like a sacrificial kind of thing. I mean, well, what's happened? We finally got to trapping them intelligently, and I know that it gets inhumanely, but it's just like I have a business to run, and it also goes back to where you should plant your vineyard. We're somewhat close to a water source, and that's where most of the pressure comes from. So I mean, that goes. If you're ever looking at doing a vineyard, definitely talk to someone who's done it before, because they'll give you a lot of experience and like, hey, here's where you should do it if you're really serious about it. But regardless, it's fine. It's those nets, even without trapping and all that kind of stuff. The nets we have are really good. The holes are like really, really small, so they can't get their hands in them. So if you can cinch them up really tight, it does a good job of keeping them away.
Interesting.
So
there's a lot of deer out here too. Do you see a lot of deer coming in?
Not in here.
Not in here.
We have an 8 foot tall fence.
Sorry, y'all game feeds around there.
Yeah.
There are a ton.
Yeah.
So your name? I'm sorry.
Well, Seven Creeks Ranch is the name of the ranch.
Yeah.
And, we came up with some really fun and inventive names. Our last name's Horne. So we did everything from like 4-H to Horne family, and everything was taken, already trademarked. Last thing we wanted to get was a cease and desist letter a year after opening a business. And have to rebrand everything. So we just decided to sort of tie the name of our winery into the area. And it's a fun like conversation to have with customers. Like, so are there really 7 creeks out here? We definitely found out that yes, there were when the July 4th happened. One of them was very near our house. We had not like any flooding, because we're definitely up on a elevation, but there was definitely a creek running through, very close to our house. And so, and it's been great. I mean, we just sort of,
They dusted us though. Like whenever COVID happened, it was like, there's a lot of people live in the area, even if it's not in that immediate community, but like they saved us, honestly.
Yeah.
When we first, like when COVID happened and everything was like, this was a home away from home. It was it was an escape, a reprieve. Yeah. And, so I'm happy we named it that way.
Yeah, same.
Oh, that's awesome. So now you got your vineyard going. You got wine being produced.
Mm-hmm.
You're excited. You're like, oh my God, this has actually really come to fruition. Where do we go now from this? So you decided to build a taster room. And it's like, okay, now we got a taster room. Now we got to have food, because people are going to come in here and want to have wine, and there's no food places close by at all.
Yeah. I mean, that's been a something that we've definitely an evolution, I guess, if you will. We are all foodies. We're all very good cooks. We love pairing food with wine.
So who's the best cook out of the two, y'all?
Me, of course. Actually, we do it every year. We do it in December. We do a taco pairing and taco wine pairing. Sounds weird, but it's bonkers. So it's me against my wife Carol and my dad, and so we all make a taco, and it's paired. We all pick a wine that it obviously pairs with, and then of course our customers judge. And it's bonkers. It's like one of our best events of the year. And so she won the first 2 years. My dad won this year. So
But we do. We started out just like your traditional charcuterie, offerings. Which I mean, if I may say so, are very, very popular. People like far and wide talk about how amazing they are. And then we started doing just different things. Like I would make paninis on, certain weekends. We're very popular. One of our mainstays, like a regular on our menu now, are flatbreads. I do everything from scratch, from the crust to, the sauce and everything. So those have been extremely, very well received, very popular. Along with the taco and wine pairing, we do lots of different food and wine pairing events throughout the year. One of our most popular pairing events is our junk food pairing that we do every summer. It started out with like,
It's in July.
Butterfingers and potato chips and then it evolved into working with local businesses and featuring local businesses. So everything from Round Rock Donuts to, we did Schlotsky's this past year, Double Dave's Pizza. We've done multiple
Bill's Burgers, and they have onion rings, or their onion rings are phenomenal. We did them. Torchy's Tacos, they have amazing queso.
Yes.
So we've done it. So it's like, it's not, I hate to say junk food now, because when we talk to places, we're like, hey, this is going to be in a junk food pairing. And they're like, not junk food. And I'm like, oh, I know, but it's not healthy eating either. Like chicken fried steak and that kind of stuff.
So there's always something to eat around here.
I will say, one of the things I've noticed on your door when you came in, and I'm going to tell you my experience of this, is y'all's Girl Scout cookie pairing.
Yeah.
Okay, so our second year, we decided we were going to do that too.
Yeah.
So we got the cookies and we decided the wines that we were going to pair with and stuff. And let's just put it this way. I didn't drink wine or ate Girl Scout cookies for a whole year. Well, I drank wine 2 weeks later, but I didn't drink any wine at all. And I didn't touch another Girl Scout cookie for a whole year because I was so sick to my stomach.
We definitely always have leftovers.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but that's a very popular pairing.
But it's just, we went a little overboard on it.
Yeah, you have to get creative with that one, especially because they don't change their lineup that often. They are finally coming out with a new cookie a year, which sounds delicious. He was describing it to us earlier. I was like, that sounds so hard. But so you've got to really, come up with some creative ways to pair them.
Well, especially thin mints. Like thin mints are extremely hard to pair with wine, but we've done it a couple of times. So.
Yeah.
And then we have a super, for the first time ever, because, we've been around for 8 years now, we've got a steady stock on library wines, like past wines that we release, both the state and, just fruit that we brought in and made from other vineyards, wines that you can't get anymore, that have been very popular, very cherished. Mm-hmm. We're going to do a 7-course, very elegant Valentine's dinner featuring our library wines.
Awesome.
So we're very, very excited for that. We've been wanting to do like a dinner in the vines kind of for years, and it always escapes us. It's always like, this job is never ending. We're always busy with something, whether it's vineyard stuff or events or private events. We do lots of private events like, rehearsal dinners. We've had weddings out here, birthday parties. And so, there's just always something going on. Right. So and that is a very it takes a lot of time and R&D to kind of prep for something like that.
Sometimes being on a Saturday
helps.
That helps a lot.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of people that live out in this area too. So we've also been like, well, we're kind of out here. So if we do something at night or people want to come, and some of this is just growing pains of being a small business, is at some point you just got to, don't tip your toes in the water. You just got to jump in and say, screw it, we're doing this. And
y'all have a history of doing that.
Yeah. True. But not with that. So I guess, I don't know, ours and reason. But yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. So as we're coming to the end of this, is there anything y'all want to talk about that we haven't hit yet? We've been all over the place here, Is there anything y'all want to talk about or, talk about what you're really proud of, your accomplishments, any kind of awards you ever won? Anything like that. This is y'all's show. This is time for y'all to shine and let people know more about y'all.
Yeah. We've won several local awards, like our most recent one we won last year. So the Picayune in Marble Falls, it's a publication. They also own a radio station, I think, or they work in collaboration with the radio station locally. They do a yearly contest, and it's voted strictly on by members of the community. In fact, you can't even nominate yourself. Someone has to nominate you, and then others kind of vote for you.
So in other words, you say $20, I need you to nominate.
And it's called Locals Love Us. And so we've won several local awards. We're not really entering into wine competitions or anything right now. We're just kind
The
of
major ones.
yeah, we're just really happy kind of being a boutique winery and sort of letting our wines speak for themselves. And maybe in the future we might, look at doing something.
As we grow, I think we've opened up the idea of doing it. Like when we first started, we were so small that I was like, I don't want to give you a bunch of free wine. And like you could win an award, and then you come there as a customer, you're like, I want that wine. I'm like, we don't have it anymore. And so it's like, we were like, what's the point? So we were just also, there's a, I don't know, I'm a little spoiled. Sorry. I'm a little spoiled because working in the IT industry a lot. I'm not saying this is like this in the wine industry, but in the IT industry, it's a pay to play game. And so like, there's a part of me that's just like, I just don't want anything to do with it. I think the wine just speak for itself. Like just come in and taste it. And like I said, it's a busy enough area that we haven't had to pull people. And so, but as we grow, we will. And I think we will eventually do it. But yeah.
And back to when he was talking about COVID, that happened 6 months after we opened our doors. And so we had to get, very creative on how to basically sustain and, just continue being in business. And obviously that was down to how the government wanted us to operate, which was changing weekly. But, back to our community and our, like wine club members and just regulars, they really, really supported us tremendously during that. And obviously people also wanted to get out the house. And if it was sitting outside in 100-degree weather drinking red wine, like, they just had to feel like they were doing something normal. But, just as a family, we've grown, we continue to grow year over year. And, just we're starting to think kind of outside the box and we're starting to focus on doing more elevated fun events, than we have in the past. And, I think we're doing a great job. He became our winemaker also during COVID, basically. And so he's done a phenomenal job. I mean, he puts
Our school?
Yeah, Texas Tech.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Not the full-blown university, but as an adult, they have a great program out of the Fredericksburg area that has done really well. A lot of people have gone to it and did that. If I can, as like one thing, just like touting us, I guess, to people would be, I think we're growing some stuff here that is somewhat unique. I mean, to not so much because it's popular Morved, but like Seychelles, a la Compiche, even Vermentino. I think we're growing some stuff that to a lot, and even if it's not that, there's other grapes that we brought in to make that is a little unique. And I think, especially in our estate stuff, we're doing a really nice like old world style on the wines, which is a little different from a lot of the more fruit forward wines you get. So we're just trying to trailblaze and add and grow to an industry that is, like I said, still in the early days. And I'm really, really happy with how the wines turned out. So
the watch patients sure not have outstanding.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So where can our listeners find you online and also your physical location as well?
Yeah. So obviously we've got a Facebook page, Instagram page, 7 Creeks Vineyard. We're very active on our socials. What was your site? Sorry, where can they find first?
Yeah.
Physical.
This is that is. That's right here. See, this math is right.
So we're definitely easily, located on GPS, but we're at 400 County Road 200A in Burnett, Texas.
Yeah, about 10 minutes northeast of Burnett, Texas, which is like an hour northwest of Austin. So we're in that general kind of like Austin, northern Texas Hill Country area. Yeah, so if you just look at us up online, 7 Creeks Vineyard, you'll see us like clear as day. We're out in the country, so we're a good 10, 15 minutes outside of town. But it's awesome. Like I said, 15 acres, 12 acres of vines. It's a really pretty area here, nice and quiet. So
beautiful country drive when you start hitting those back roads.
I'm going to say this is when we got out of Burnett and it just said take 963 out here.
Yeah.
It didn't tell me to cut off the road.
Okay.
It told me to keep on going this way. So I'm driving. And all of a sudden it says you need to turn right here. And it was like a little loop. And I'm like, look, we're pulling in. Look how beautiful this pull-in is. And I told her, wake up and pull out your phone and stuff.
That's
so we pulled through here and he was actually going in front of somebody's house.
That's awesome.
And then we had it for angle back into town.
Awesome.
And then come back around. That was Google Force. And I don't know why it did that, but it did. Told us
Weird. It's weird. Well, we've had issues too because there's a lot of new development out here. So every now and then, like this is more like 3 or 4 years ago, but a road just disappeared from Google Maps. And they were like, someone tried to pull into a private road over here one day. And they're calling like, I don't think the gate's closed. I'm like, no, the gate is open. And they were like, I'm like, where are you at? They're like, they showed the address. I'm like, no. I was like, and then when they came in, they were like, well, your road doesn't exist on the map. And I'm like, so I had to like ping Google Maps and Apple Maps and be like, can y'all fix this? It's better now. It's good now. See, there's no issue.
Look for the big U.S. flag on the corner.
Yeah.
Definitely.
When I saw that, I was like, that is the way you used to know this place.
Yeah.
So, well, I tell you what, if there's anything else y'all want to talk about, we're good. Y'all ready? Good?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what we want to do is we're going to take a little quick, like 5-10 minute break. Take a little bathroom break. And then we're going to come back. We're going to do a little bit of wine education. And we talked about this just for a minute. We're going to hit it again. Yeah. We're going to talk about wine legs.
Yeah.
What do they mean of the quality of the wines? So, all right, we'll take a few minutes and we'll be right back.
You got it?
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Hi, this is Eric, buyer of Old Vine, Texas, your premier Texas wine tasting room in DFW, featuring 100% Texas wineries from all over the state. We are located at 403 East Broad Street in Mansfield, Texas, inside of the Ancora Event Center. We have weekly tastings, charcuterie, pizza, plenty of wines by the glass, and live music. Our wine club brings you an extended taste of Texas and other great perks. You can visit our website at oldvinetexas.com to sign up for our newsletter, check our open hours, and see special events and classes and more. Or you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Old Vine, Texas. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back, everybody, to We Know Texas Vino. This is Will, and we have Briggs and Carol. Oh, man, my brain just stopped working for just a quick second.
Great.
We just took a little break, and we're coming back to the education portion of the show. And, people who listen to the show, they love listening to the podcast, not just because they hear about y'all's wine or any of y'all's story, because I feel that hearing y'all's story makes the wine better. But they also listen to the show for education because there's a lot of people who don't know about wine and they want to understand more about wine. So I try to pick little tiny topics that we can just talk with like 10 or 15 minutes on so people can understand things a little bit better. And so one of the things working in a tasting room, I get to hear what people want to learn more about. And so I take a mental note of it. The next episode, I try to add it into it. And so one of the education topics we're going to talk about here is wine legs. And now, for people who don't understand what wine legs are, when you take and you swirl your wine and you stop and you actually see the rundown from the edge of the glass, those are what's known as legs. But people tend to swirl it and they think it's cool and they don't understand why they do it. So with the wine legs, what can you tell by the quality and how the wine's going to be from just the
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, from a technical perspective, or not technical perspective, but like from a winemaking perspective, a lot of it is the viscosity of the wine. And so viscosity is kind of like that texture, that kind of smoothness and the wine. And a lot of that's caused from alcohol and sugar. Now, there shouldn't be a whole lot of sugar, especially like our wines are dry, so there's not much sugar in there, but it's definitely alcohol. So the bolder wine, I mean, I hate to say this, like, 'cause it's like 100% the way it is, but generally speaking, the bolder, fuller bodied wine, the higher the alcohol is going to be. And that's generally going to produce the legs. And as it's kind of going down, if you actually, they taught us this in class. If you look in really closely, when the wine legs are going down, what's actually also happening is it's sucking upwards, and that's actually the alcohol that's evaporating. I mean, you're not like losing alcohol, like it's not gonna change the alcohol percentage or anything. But anyways, but to me, what it shows is obviously that it's generally speaking a little bit more fuller bodied, bolder wine, but it also has a nice texture to the wine. And so from a wine quality perspective, I think this is just coming from me, and my experience has been, it's just, you have a better texture and a smoothness to the wine that when you drink it, it's smooth. It drinks very smooth and nice on your palate. And that's what it tells me.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I've heard, and you can correct me if I'm wrong with this, is that also when you swirl the wines, if your legs have a little slight pink color to it, you have mega purple in it.
Oh, okay.
You didn't know?
We don't use mega purple, so
Okay.
you're good.
Well, and I've started learning that. I started reading about mega purple and stuff. And one of the things that I heard reading some of this is that, when your wine has a little slight, your legs have a slight pink color to it, you have mega purple, which then people who say, I don't drink red wines because they dye my teeth, that mega purple is what dyeing your teeth. It's not the actual red wine itself. That's actually, this is some stuff I heard. If I'm wrong, people find us on Facebook and correct me. I'm always down to be corrected.
It's a good question. I don't know. I've never used that. So when I think mega purple, I'm thinking like it's like almost like a dyeing agent or something like that. Yeah.
So they find to treat it.
They're trying to add color to the wine. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously we don't use that. Sure, you're good. But thankfully I never noticed it. But I also, I don't know. Like I never talked to a winery that's ever, if they did use it, ever admit to it. So, you shouldn't. Like I said, at least here in Texas, especially in the hill country, like I said, we do struggle with color. But if you're planting the right grapes and making the right wine, you shouldn't need that.
Yeah.
So,
and if it is light, then you choose a varietal that you use the skins on. Just use it 2 or 3 or 4 or 5% and drop it in there.
Add a little blend to it. Yeah, exactly. And most wines, like you can see a wine that's like Cabernet Sauvignon, but there's a certain percentage that can be in other wine, and it will have to be because of how you top wine. But like it's there's nothing wrong with blending. Blending is amazing. That wine you're drinking now, this Little Wing, is a blend, and it I think it drinks exceptionally well.
Oh yeah, it is really well.
Very well.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna put it publicly, and also it says I'm not going to tell why, but you need to come out to Seven Freaks and try on Seven Wing and read the story on the back of the bottle. If it doesn't touch you,
you have no emotion.
But yeah.
Oh my goodness. There's a very special story behind it. So please come out and try. Yeah. Try the others too. Phenomenal. This one has a very special story behind it.
Thank you.
Well, I want to thank y'all again for allowing us to come out here. Great having a conversation out here. I love that y'all jumped in head first and asked questions later.
No, you're fine.
Oh man.
We're used to thinking on our feet, so we're good. So
well, real quick, I'm going to hit our sponsors. So our primary sponsor is Texas Wine Lover app.
Yeah.
Love the app. This is how I find most of the wineries that come to when I'm in an area. I'll zoom in on the desktop and I'll start finding wineries and stuff. And I found y'all, never heard of y'all before. And I was like, oh, look, there's one I've never heard of before. And I like trying to hit wineries that I've never heard of before. And there's other Texas wine podcasts. I want to try to hit some of those they haven't hit, or it's been a long time since they hit. Trying to keep y'all up, being relevant to everybody so they know where you're at and stuff. I'm trying to do that. I support a lot of the mom and pop wineries as well because you need every little bit of word of mouth get people coming in and stuff.
Yeah. Every little bit helps.
Yep. So love Texas Wine Lovers. Make sure you download the app or go to texaswinelover.com. Also, I don't know if y'all heard of these guys or not, and really great if y'all want to get some wines into other parts. But in North Texas, we have a winery in Mansfield, Texas called Old Vine Texas. And what he does is he curates hill country wines and brings it up to North Texas for the people who don't want to drive 4 hours to the hill country and spend all the money to come down here and drink wine. They could literally go 45 minutes to Mansfield. They can drink a whole bunch of different varieties of different hill country wines and then go back home and be home in 45 minutes.
Love it.
That's cool. You know what it reminds me of? That place in Frederick, not to sidetrack. There was an awesome tasting room in Fredericksburg and it was owned by...
It was Rustic's Brew. It was the same Hideaway.
Yes.
We love...
Vendor Hideaway.
They had some fabulous wines there. And, most of them were... little wineries or winemakers that just
were getting started
or didn't have any exposure down here. And so it was just a great way to discover Texas wines that you'd never heard of before. And it was such a cool spot.
Selfishly speaking, if you can make an introduction, I love it.
I'm just making sure they could go online and order one.
Yeah.
So,
So, and then with that being said, it is now time for the wine quotes. I did actually make a little song that goes in to kind of introduce the wine quotes, because I love doing wine quotes. And like I tell everybody, I've been telling everybody lately that, I've been running out of wine quotes. I started resorting to ChatGPT and I got 2 really great wine quotes. And I think actually now that I've got them and after hear y'all's story, I think this goes perfect with them.
Yes.
So the first one is born of heat, patience, and Texas pride.
I hear.
That's a good one.
It's aptly named. That's for sure. Yeah.
And then again, I think this goes really well with what y'all have been doing. Texas doesn't follow wine rules. We write our own.
Yes. That's for
A lot of 100%.
definitely our story.
Yeah.
But yeah, and just about every Texas winery, that is their to be their motto for our rules.
Yeah, we have our rules because we don't follow traditional rules at all when it comes to vineyard management, to making the wines. So, well, again, I really appreciate you allowing us to come in here. We're going to drink a little bit more of your wine here and have a little more conversation with y'all. And then we're just going to have a great evening. So, well, this is Will.
This is Glenda.
Carol.
Okay.
She's like, okay.
No, you got to see your name is Briggs now.
You go for it. Briggs, yeah.
Natty Rubin. And this is We Know Texas Vino. Cheers.